I think Hombale's personality wasn't immediately apparent. It grew very organically over a period of time. At the heart of it is the togetherness and the harmony that they represent as a family. So Hombale actually means the flower of the arecanut tree, and that's very native to Karnataka. They wanted to name their house Hombale as an homage to their ancestry. My name is Shruti Vedavyas. My firm is called The Architecture and Design. I'm a student of Architect JSMs. Hombale is a home that came out of a very interesting collaboration between the architect, the client, and the contractor. We didn't know that the client's son, Mr. Sachin, was a civil engineer himself. The kind of interest, the kind of interaction and engagement that happens when they're personally involved with the project is at a much higher level than when somebody does it, just like that. So we were quite happy to have him on board. One of the main things that we wanted to do with the home was to bring a little bit of their traditional rural homes with the courtyards and the traditional Totti Manes into an urban setting. But while it feels very romantic to reminisce about those kind of structures, we also had to be very careful that to make sure that it fits their urban lifestyle. This is a 30 by 40 plot, and it's in one of the newer developing neighborhoods of Bangalore, Banashankari 6th stage. Here we had a requirement for not just their home, but they also wanted a couple of rental units. So what we did was we prioritized in terms of accessibility. We made sure that the rental units were at the lower levels and their unit was at the upper level. So the entire built-up area is around 2,900 square feet. This includes the rental property as well as their private home. The private home itself is about 1,800 square feet. This is the roadside, which is west facing. We have a road here, the access road to the site. So we had 3 empty plots surrounding the site. Considering the way that Bangalore is developing, we weren't sure whether the neighbors would do like a G+2, G+3, G+4. So what we had to do was make sure that our own source of light and ventilation wasn't going to be compromised irrespective of what happens in the neighborhood. So what we did was we created a light well through this Totti Mane concept to make sure that their light, no matter what happens in the neighborhood, is completely unaffected. So as you come to the home, since this is our circulation core, we also have enough space to introduce a lift in the future if it's required. As you climb up the stairs, you come to a semi-open foyer, and then you enter the main house. The transition from outside to inside takes you through a small intimate scale here, and then there's a sudden explosion of space that happens. You walk in, and then this is the living area, this is the dining, this is the kitchen, and connecting all of them is this courtyard with the staircase that goes up. The living room is the first thing that you see as soon as you walk in through the door. Here what we've done is, because we wanted to integrate a very organic material along with a more disciplined material like the stone along with the clay block, we had to experiment and make sure that they were both structurally stable together. So we've got a very nice carpet-like pattern on the floor that consists of different motifs and different patterns, but all done in stone and all done in kota. Here we've used clay blocks throughout the external walls, so the whole place is thermally efficient. So we've sort of managed to avoid fans altogether.
We're here at the courtyard and what we believe to be the heart of the house. The reason why this space is sunken is to imbibe the concept of Totti Mane into the house and make sure that this space stays family-centric and has a visual access to every part of the house. We have mud earth blocks on my right, and then we have a very special wall behind us. So the wall is basic clay blocks but just turned in a different angle, where we have proper mortar joints, but every now and then we have a play of glass that has been added to it.
So moving to the upper floor, we decided to have the bedrooms on opposite sides of this courtyard because we wanted to be able to borrow light and ventilation from the courtyard to both the bedrooms. Now, this being the master bedroom, we decided to go out and out and make sure that we have a nice big one here. Here we've played around with a different set of materials and a few other elements which add some fun and some whimsy to the whole space. So this organic form actually took a life of its own once we started drawing it, and this is where we have used our semicircular clay bricks. The clay bricks are actually like this. They have a semicircular front and then they have a few grooves at the back. Whatever you see on this side will give you beautiful curves, and we have overlaid them. They're one half above the other. So you get a continuous pattern that just goes on and on. On the inside, you have a more structured format which is still able to take the curve because of its size. The other bedroom, a much smaller bedroom, came on this corner. The one thing that we have done to get more light and ventilation into the two spaces is to open out these walls into the courtyard. While we were designing this opening, it added a small interesting element, which was getting windows that were stained windows that also added visual interest as people were walking up the stairs. So we had two volumes of double heights, and they were sort of interconnected by this central bridge here. The bridge would then take you out to a terrace here.
What we have over here is number one, a very nice play of light happening with our skylights. This is supposed to be our central light well.
We wanted to reduce the amount of electricity used in terms of ACs, in terms of fans. So we really focused quite a bit on making sure that the space was cool throughout the year. The truth of material is very important to us. One of the main things that we have done is to use clay blocks to make sure that the building is thermally efficient, because the sunlight falling directly on the building due to lack of shade around meant that the building would get heated up very fast. So we made sure that we have a layer of insulation, not just on the walls, but even in our roofs, in the form of filler blocks in our roofs. If you're looking at the overall market, especially in South Bangalore, people do prefer well-designed, well-done homes for rental. Looking at a project as one full holistic thing, I think it's easier to deal with it because you follow the same language, you follow the same design principles. When we got to know the family, there was a sense of harmony, there was a sense of softness, and they were all so much together. It didn't feel right that we give them spaces that were very rigid and disciplinarian and extremely boxed in. It was very apparent that what we would do would not just be the creation of a home, but something a little bit more for them as an experiential exercise.